And Oliver is running around like a little zoomy maniac, hoping that doesn't mean he's about to come in here and start biting things, but who knows.
The Nixie whisker. Just a little one.
Save it for me! I have a test tube full of cat whiskers and claws and teeth.
I have a whole collection of Nixie whiskers now. I don't know why, I just stopped throwing them away.
I'm rubbing off on you.
I'm fascinated by the fact that they're black for some
It's
reason.
very cute.
Because, like, until I had her, it literally never occurred to me that black cats had black whiskers. I just didn't think about it.
Hmm.
What's my camera doing now?
It seems to be repeatedly focusing and unfocusing.
To me, it just looks unfocused. There we go. Had it up to here with this camera.
I'm so sorry. But, well, if we want to get into it for tonight, make sure all my alerts are off.
I have started when I have like random thoughts that I'm like, I feel like I just want to bring those up in the pod for some unknown reason. I just put them in a note on my phone.
I do the exact same thing, but just in the Google Doc. Every time I think of a thing that could potentially spark a conversation or just a thing that I could rant about, that's where it goes.
Yeah, I currently have just a thought and a rant.
I would love to hear both of them.
One of them is just, it's not that, it's more of a question. Do you ever get video game music stuck in your head?
Yes.
Which
Yes,
is
I do.
weird, right? Because like there are no lyrics. And I never really thought about getting a song stuck in your head when there's nothing to sing to.
Interesting. That's a problem I'm very familiar with, but maybe that's because I have been a gamer for much longer than you.
No, it's the on Tears of the Kingdom, the music they play when you're in Hateno Village. It's just was been in a loop in my head and I wasn't even there that long. And it's just in there. It's just weird. I didn't think that was a thing that happened.
It most certainly is, or it has been for me for a long time.
Mm.
And what was
I
your
was
other
like,
thing?
um, I actually, you know what? I'm gonna save that for the worsening.
Okay. Well,
The
in that
Christian.
case, let's get into my bullet points. One, this is exciting for me and me alone. Powerwolf is touring again, and I'm going to see them at the same place that I saw them last time, but this time I'm in the actual pit, not the second tier. And I dragged Kyle with me. Or I will be dragging Kyle with me in September. So, rock and roll. Second thing, ghost updates that no one asked for, but I'm giving anyway. One, got the new Gwet shirt. Fun design. Oh, will my cord get in the way? Fun design on the back. But the reason that I'm particularly excited about this one is because it was only available if you were in a certain, like the top percentage of their Spotify listeners during your Wrapped, and I was. So that made me feel extra special, and I'm very happy to have my grubby little paws on it. Um, Devastated to report that Ghost's cover of Phantom of the Opera by Iron Maiden did not win Best Metal Performance at the Grammys. Also kind of not surprised because they were up against Metallica and they kind of win on name alone at this point. But there's one thing that is extremely exciting, and I am pulling up a photo to send to the chat momentarily. Found this out the other day. There is now only 1 degree of separation between myself and Tobias Forge. But Bridget, what does that mean, you ask? And I present to you this photo that I am sending to the chat right now of Josh Groban and Tobias Forge at some sort of charity event. So yeah, there is now 1 degree of separation between me and Mr. Ghost because I have met Josh Groban, who has now met Tobias Forge. Hopefully
Sure.
that becomes 0 degrees of separation someday, but we'll find out. Also, Josh Groban, secret metalhead confirmed?
The caption said that they were at some charity event, I think.
No, yeah, I know, but like, this still had to be like, hi.
Well, yeah, someone could have introduced them.
I would like to imagine that Josh Groban is a secret metalhead. Anyway, that's it. Those are my updates. I just wanted to talk about Ghost again.
Yeah, I get that.
So, unless you have anything else that you would like to bring up, I found this on Reddit, and man, oh man, do I want to talk about it.
Let this open.
So, the question is as follows. Could a vampire police officer enter a house if they had a search warrant? Because, you know, the whole vampire lore thing, they cannot enter your home uninvited. What do we think?
Yeah, I mean, I always assumed that you had to be invited by the person who actually lives there.
That's the thing. Because, like, that's technically, like... I wouldn't call that an invitation. I certainly don't want you to search my home.
No, yeah, I mean...
So, like, even if there's paperwork saying that you're allowed to...
Yeah. Like,
I'm not
legally
inviting you in.
Yeah. Legally they could, physically they could not. Because,
Here,
you know, you're
actually.
probably not going to know that they have a search warrant to even invite them in the first place. And if they knock on
Yeah.
your door, you'll be like... But see, I don't know that that's going to do you much good, because it's not like, unless it's an entire vampire police force, some of them are going to be able to come in.
But what if it is?
An entire vampire police force?
I also like that when I just sent this to the chat, the preview shows like the question and then the little blurb that the person who posted it wrote. Could a vampire policeman enter my house if they had a warrant? This question has destroyed many of my friend groups.
Interesting.
So
I wouldn't think this one would be that, like, controversial.
I mean, I'm pulling up the question now to see if there is anything particularly controversial or something that I hadn't already thought of in the comments.
There's a lot of jokes about, you know, it being low stakes. You know, like, steak.
Nice.
And then somebody did ask, like, what if you have a welcome mat out front?
That's another thing that I've often wondered, because, like, they kind of play it fast and loose with, like, the What We Do in the Shadows vampires, for example, because in the Superb Owl episode, Shawnee tells him, like, come on in, or he says something like, get in here, or whatever, and Nando just goes, that counts. So, and I mean, again, that's, like, it's a comedy, so, like,
Yeah.
Wouldn't be remotely surprised if the rules were not quite as strict as, like, you know, Bram Stoker, but
Yeah.
I'm seeing they could legally but can't physically. An order is not an invitation.
I felt like we'd seen something recently where the welcome mat thing came up. Renfield.
Oh, yeah!
Somebody mentioned it. I was like, that's what it was. I feel like we just saw that.
This depends largely on the origin of the rule and your definition of ownership. Okay. If your lore says a vampire needs permission from the primary resident, the state isn't an owner of your property. Okay. However, if the restriction is based on protecting humans, then you can have interesting changes. For example, with protection, a vampire could enter a house without permission to save a resident. Using protection, they would likely be able to enter with a warrant, but only if their intentions were to protect the residents inside. Finally, if your lore holds that the ownership is based on physical property ownership, for example, having a human own a property on paper that only vampires live in to keep an invader out, in this lore, then the state could supersede the ownership with a warrant. So you could get real creative with it if you're writing a story, is what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Someone saying, this is why I don't have a welcome mat and why I shout, it's open and not come in.
I like this other question in here in the comments. If a house that the vampire didn't own was built around them, could they stay? So, like, what if there's a vampire who, like, he's buried underground in his coffin for whatever reason? He was like, fuck it, this century sucks. I'm going to take a really long nap. And then somebody buys a property with these old, like, dilapidated ruins on it, not realizing that they're going to find a secret basement with a vampire on it, and they build a house on top of it that is theirs, that they own. What happens then?
I mean, in this scenario, the vampire's like buried underground.
Yes.
Because if he's buried underground, then he's not in the house, he's in the ground. He'd have to go through something to get into the house.
Or alternately, okay, how about this then? Says, fuck it, this century sucks, I'm gonna take a really long nap. Locks himself in his crypt in the basement. It's a historic looking house, so perhaps it becomes like public property somehow, becomes a museum because it has importance to wherever it is. Or not even necessarily becomes a museum, but like it changes hands a bunch of times and then somebody purchases the house. Then what?
So,
and he's still down there chilling.
Essentially in the basement.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, he's allowed in there as long as like he doesn't have to go through something. Like, if there's like a door it goes into the crypt, the cellar, whatever it is, like that's part of the house then.
So then could he leave but not come back? Like if he's in the house and then he goes out and it's like, shit, this isn't my house anymore. Or at least not on paper.
I think it depends on your answer to the question of whether a vampire has to be invited by the owner of a property or just the person who lives there. Because technically the vampire would already be living there.
You're so right. Because then if it has to be the owner of a property, I feel like a vampire couldn't source victims from an apartment complex, for example.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing. Like, I don't own this place. I rent my townhouse. Does that mean a vampire can just walk in unless it gets permission from my landlord? Like,
or they can't just walk in until they get permission from your landlord.
Yeah. But like, no, I feel like I should have to give permission for that. Or can it be literally any human being? Because like, what if it has, like, I was hanging out at your place and a vampire comes to the door. I'm like, hey, this vampire looks cool. Come on in, have a drink. Like, would that...
I mean, here's the thing. Would I be mad? Not in the slightest.
I know you would. That's why I was on it.
Thank you.
Well, like, would that work since I don't live there?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm also just generally fascinated by the amount of depth that I'm seeing in these comments. That's like kind of a rare thing for like the internet in general.
Yeah.
The invitation is a running theme in folklore and occultism in general. The idea is that creatures and spirits occupy a world that exists side by side with our own, but they can't interact with our world unless invited to. A warrant is firmly of this world, holding no authority over the other, okay? The person dwelling in the house must be the one to invite them in. All right. Although a search warrant would be a nightmare for a vampire. For one, they are rarely served alone, and secondly, a lot of shit gets ripped up and tossed around out of place. Western vampires are often depicted as having a compulsion for tidiness. One cop dumps out a vase of flowers with the decorative glass beads, and all of a sudden the vamp is stuck counting them and putting them back. Oh.
See that on? I just saw that on something.
There was a bit in What We Do in the Shadows when they were trying to figure out if Guillermo was like a proper vampire or not, where they were gonna like dumped out the bag of rice. They were like, no compulsion to count this whatsoever, and then they started counting it as they picked it up.
There was something more recently that I like just watched a couple weeks ago, where they were bluffing and said, "Oh, I think it was in Black Clover."
Interesting.
Yeah.
Black Clover has vampires?
Sort of.
Cool. Alternately, the judge issued a non-negotiable invitation.
Mm-hmm. You're my kid.
Depends on what type of vampire. Any kind of folkloric vampire, they can enter all they want. Classic Hollywood vampire, they cannot. Maybe if you had a welcome mat, but otherwise you would have to invite them in even if they had a warrant.
Yeah, I don't think the welcome mat thing would actually work. Because it's an adjective, there's no verb involved.
Hmm.
As in you are welcome, like you are welcome to come here, but they don't actually say. I mean, maybe it's implied that you are welcome, but even then, it's not like come in. It's different.
Yeah. Maybe their partner could go in and then invite them, assuming the cops aren't all vampires. Also a possibility.
Only if anybody can do the inviting. Which is kind of messed up if that were the case, because like if you really disliked somebody, you could be like, "Hey, you can go in so and so's house."
Yeah. I mean, but also,
That's dangerous.
they probably had it coming.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. I feel like it's one of those things that's all over the place. Like different shows and movies do it differently. Because I've definitely seen the type where there's like somebody visiting a person's house and they don't know any different, and the person comes to the door like, "Oh, I know the people who live here. Can I go and talk to them?" Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say I'm just gonna make a declarative statement here for the sake of wrapping up this segment of the podcast. I'm gonna say that a warrant is not an invitation. They have to be invited by whoever is in the house at that time.
Yeah. It's not an invitation, it's a legal, allowance
Yeah.
essentially to
Yeah.
vary things. Like
Yeah.
there's a difference between you inviting a kid to your birthday party and that kid's parents allowing them to go.
Point most certainly taken. Um all right, so moving on from that, this is something that Kyle came up with. I don't know what prompted this necessarily, but he asked me this question and I blue screened for a second and then I told him that we weren't allowed to talk about it because I needed to talk about it on the podcast. Um is the character of Jar Jar Binks racist?
So I should start by saying that I have not watched all of the prequel movies,
Okay,
and I don't
great. I
then
watched them quite a while ago and my memories are hazy.
yeah, I watched I think just the first one, maybe the second one, like when they first came out, and
Mhm.
not since. So, um, but so I have, yeah, limited memory. But yes, I always got the impression
And
based just on the accent.
here's the thing. I can't even pinpoint necessarily like what it just feels racist even if it isn't.
No, it's the accent, because it's like the it sort of sounds like the stereotypical like slave accent, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to imitate it, but
Yeah, no, I do know
it
what
has
you
that
mean.
flavor to it,
Mhm.
and I think
Um
that's what gives the feeling of racism.
yes, it feels extremely racist whether it actually is or not.
Which it's kind of funny because wait, what year did that come out?
Early
It was
2000s?
he was in the first one, right?
Probably.
I'm just googling Jar Jar Binks and I regret my choices.
I'm so sorry.
I also haven't looked at him in a long time, so that's fun. So yes, episode 1, 1999. Okay. So I would have been probably still 13 when it came out. And at the time, I thought he was super fun and adorable.
We've all had those moments.
But I was in middle school,
Yeah.
you know, and everybody else hated him. Like everybody was constantly mocking him. And I remember when the movie came out, I can't remember which soda brand it was, like Coke or Pepsi or something. They were doing these like special edition cans that had various characters on them. and I kept getting them because I wanted a Jar Jar Binks one. I remember that specifically. But everybody was just like, "Oh my god, he's the worst character. He's so annoying."
I mean,
But
I'm gonna say hard agree, but
well, yeah, now, but again, 13-year-old me at the time,
yeah.
I was listening to NSYNC.
Hey, NSYNC has some bangers.
Oh, yeah, no, I still got other CDs.
Hell
Yeah.
yes. Yeah,
Um,
it most certainly feels racist.
yeah, I think it's almost entirely the accent.
Even if I cannot concretely pin down anything other than that, I'm gonna
Yeah.
say yes.
I think
Racist in spirit.
but I think he also talks in like broken English, right? Can't remember. Again, it's been a long time.
I can't remember if it's just like the actual speech pattern or I don't know, maybe? Maybe.
I think he did.
So then maybe we might slide our marker over into like almost definitely racist.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, you can't really say much about his appearance because he's, alien, looks very not human.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly the accent and the way of talking, I think, are. Yeah, I'd have to rewatch too to see if he potentially plays into certain stereotypes.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember, but I'm going to say probably if nothing else.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is subjective. I don't think they intended it that way.
Oh, no, I'm sure.
Um, but that being so, like racism, that's prejudice, like
Yeah.
so they didn't do it with prejudicial intent necessarily, but does it give off racism vibes? Yes, it does.
Yeah. I'm going to say solid assessment there. Um I have one more thing that I have written down for today, but I'm actually going to steal something from a local morning radio show that seems to be playing on like every radio in all of the lock houses at work and all of the fleet cars for whatever reason. Well, actually, no, I know why. It's because when people are driving around in the afternoon at work, it's the local classic rock station, but they have a morning show and it's called the Free Beer and Hot Wings Show. It's actually kind of funny, but this morning, for whatever reason, they were like answering weird questions, and one of the questions was like, "Would you sleep with somebody who had no arms?"
What kind of question is that?
I have absolutely no idea. It just stopped me dead in my tracks, though, as I was like trying to take apart a motor. I mean, yeah, probably if I was attracted to them.
Yeah, that's what it just doesn't even make sense to me as a question to ask. And it's like, if I liked a person enough to sleep with them, whether or not they had arms would be irrelevant.
Yeah.
I
And the
just
thing is
don't.
that they all said exactly the same thing, so like I'm assuming that it was like emailed in or something and they like all saw it and were like, "Well, yeah," and then thought it was funny enough to share.
Yeah, just because I think it's such a perplexing question.
Yeah, that was kind
Like,
of the vibe that I got.
yeah, I feel like when you get the when you hear a question like that kind of makes your brain like stop working, like you can physically see.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you need to share that with other people because it's like, let me make sure that this isn't just me, but
Mhm.
also I want you go through this.
Yeah, all right. That seems like a fair assessment. Um so one of the other things that I came up with was um I know you are familiar with this, but for anybody who isn't, there is a company called Nice Shirt Thanks, where you cannot, they will design you a custom t shirt, but you can't like, you don't choose the design. You send them a prompt and they make a custom shirt for you. Brooks has one. It's absolutely delightful.
I had to grab it for this and I totally forgot.
I mean, do you want to go grab it? Can you grab it quickly?
Yeah, I know exactly where it is in my drawer.
All right, do it. Because I have some pictures that give off the vibe that I want to create. Because what we're going to do, and I'm going to repeat this when she's back in here, is, or never mind, you are back in here.
Yeah.
So the plan is, and I'm digging up some vibe reference photos because I want us to come up with a prompt for me because I've had a really hard time settling on a thing, and I would very much like a shirt from Nice Shirt Thanks.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just save these real quick and pop them in the chat, but the floor is yours if you would like to share.
Yeah. So first of all, and apologies if I'm repeating anything you said during my brief moment away, but like you're very limited in characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I remember when I did mine, I had to constantly change and like try to wordsmith things so that I could fit all the information I wanted in the limited space.
Mm.
And part of my thinking was that I wanted to think of something that sort of challenged them.
I like it.
So I don't remember my exact like prompt, but I was like, well, I love knitting. That's a big part of my life. And I think it was shortly after I got Harley, like
possibly
almost 3 years ago.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah. And so I was like, man, how would a snake knit?
Ooh.
And so
wait, hold on. I need to
my prompt was something along the lines of my pet snake Harley knitting a sweater.
Yes.
So it's, apparently with his tail. I don't know how he's holding all that with the tip of his tail.
Listen, he's doing his best, and that's all that matters.
He's too stupid. Yeah, they literally have one t-shirt color that is white. It's kind of a joke on their website that there's a color select option, but every option is white.
Love it. So, this is what I want. This is the vibe I wish to evoke. These two images.
Mm-hmm.
My mom said she could drop us off if your mom can pick us up. Skeleton flipping off the camera. Sick ass skeleton wizard with the caption, "If you need me, I'll be in the shower taking a shower." So that's the vibe. I want skeletons, goth. I want goth, I want metal, and then I want fucking weird.
Well, I mean, would you want to try to work in something else that you like? Like, now it's just in my head because of my shirt, but like a skeleton doing some form of cross stitch.
No, because here's the thing. I'm kind of trying to engineer this in like a teeny tiny bit. I don't think I really want a drawing. I almost want like a cursed collage. Like a cursed meme just on the shirt.
Do they do that?
Oh god, yes. Like, have you seen those like edits of like where it's like a hamster and like a little pink Barbie car and it just says like the horrors persist but so do I?
Mm-hmm.
Like they have things like that. So I thought this could be a fun exercise for us. Help me try to come up with a prompt for Nice Shirt Thanks.
But I mean, like, you couldn't tell them exactly what to write on it. That would take up too many characters.
You are so correct. So I want to get like...
So you could keep it just vague, like, super cursed and weird skeleton meme.
Hold on. Alright. I'm going to start writing things down a little bit. Cool ass skeleton has to be in there. Also probably along with the words metalhead or goth.
And weird, probably.
Yes. Cool ass skeleton.
Cursed.
Metalhead. Goth. Cursed. Weird. What if this could be interesting. What if I just sent a bunch of words? Like, not even like a coherent sentence, just like bullet points.
I don't think it has to be a sentence.
Which is essentially what I'm doing right now. So we've got cool ass skeleton, metalhead, goth, cursed, weird, maybe meme?
I think so, because I mean that seems to be sort of the format that you're going for.
Should it be meme format? Does that get it? Is that slightly clearer, do we think?
Suppose. I'm just looking at their try to limit the prompt to 3 things.
Well, shit.
Like, for example, 3 characters, 3 interests, 3 focuses, etc. Their example is duck on a skateboard holding a katana.
Okay, so we're gonna go point 1, cool ass skeleton. I think my third point is just going to be cursed meme format.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, if I do turn this into, like, a slightly coherent sentence, it'll be like a cool ass skeleton, maybe with something in a cursed meme format. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how vague some of these are. Like, one of them is just like an example is I am vegan, I love plants and cows, smiley face. Like,
I dig.
that could be a lot of things.
I know. And I feel like, again, that's the fun of it.
And you can upload an image where you can, like, have them Photoshop your face onto it or just print that directly on the shirt
No.
or just, like, as a reference picture. So
Maybe I'll do that.
In the style of one of these or something.
Alright, hell yeah. Maybe I will do that. I'm gonna write down reference photo question mark for myself as I throw my pen.
Yeah. Oh man, they got more than t-shirts? They didn't used to have more than t-shirts, and they have ones that are colored? Man, they've come a long way since,
Oh, they don't just have the only white? If I can get it in black, I'm gonna be so happy.
It's black now.
Yeah!
It's gone.
I love that.
They have white and black. This is the 2 colors.
All I need. All I need.
Can't believe that.
I'm so sorry.
When did I order mine? That was a long time ago. Yeah. I think that it's good to make it fun for them. Can you imagine working for that company?
Oh my god, I wish.
2 years ago I ordered mine.
Please hire me.
Almost 2 years to the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, for real? That's wild.
Huh?
Almost 2 years to the day? That's nuts.
Yeah. I never worn it because I don't like that it's just a square in the middle of a white shirt like that.
Mm.
And also, I just don't want it to fade. You know?
I mean, I think you could definitely get away with wearing it a little.
But again, I just don't like here's a square of art on an otherwise white t-shirt. It feels strange.
I honestly kind of don't mind that. And I don't know if it's because I'm like, you know, album cover shirt.
Yeah, but it looks weird.
Mm.
Doesn't it? It's just kind of like... Oh, they at least should have made the edges a little less, you know. Made them a little squiggly or something.
Hmm. Oh well.
I knew exactly where it was in my drawer because it was in my Hognose Snake t-shirt set. I have 3.
I was about to say, I know one. Or I know one other. Have I seen the third?
I think you've seen all of them. Because I have my green one that says, I love my Hognose Snake.
Yes.
And then I have the one that I just got for my birthday last year that's the anatomy of a Hognose Snake.
Yes. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Hognose Snake section.
Hmm.
I keep them together.
You know, as you should.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just going to be a cool-ass skeleton in the cursed meme format of the reference photo provided.
And then just let them figure out what the meme could be.
Yeah.
You could have your final thing just make it weird.
Yeah, I'm gonna write that down as a possibility. Make it weird.
Yeah, I was trying to see what the character limit was, but FAQ orders. None of these are useful.
You hate to see it.
What a great idea for a company.
I know, right? I kind of wish that I actually very much wish that I had come up with it. Not kinda.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Because, like, and it makes me happy too that they're always like backed up. They say a lot 8 to 10 weeks for delivery because they have so many orders, and it's like
Oh
good
my
for
god,
you guys.
yeah, right? That's so fun.
I was trying to see if I just started typing things.
If anything would come to you.
No, if it would like
Oh, if you would hit a character limit?
Yeah. I'm just gonna start typing random letters until it tells me I can't anymore.
Solid plan.
Just doing H over and over. 80 characters.
Okay, that's important. I will think on that. And
because I initially typed in cool ass skeleton meme format, weird as hell, and it just kept me H until it.
I might just that might be it. That might be it. I mean, the title of this episode is absolutely cool ass skeleton now, but maybe this is a little early for it, but I really want to know what the other thing that you told me that you had to bring up at the beginning of this episode was. So I'm gonna say it's worsening time, and if that turns out to be a mistake, we'll go from there.
Sure. Bound to be worse.
What do you got for me? I'm very excited.
I don't know if it's exciting. I've developed, I don't know if obsession is the right word.
I'm already liking what I'm hearing.
With a YouTube channel called Explore With Us.
Oh.
Which is really vague sounding, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what it is, essentially, they take footage of like real interrogations of people who like did horrific things, and they actually play the videos, but they have every video analyzed by like various experts in the field, like clinical psychologists and like law enforcement professionals, like a whole, they always list out who analyzed that particular video. And so then they'll play them, and then they occasionally pause to point out like, they just did this thing indicating that they're uncomfortable or they're lying, or like this is what this kind of marker is called.
Interesting.
And it's really interesting, partially from like the psychological standpoint of like kind of understanding. I was like, that's really interesting. Like the way they do this is part of an interrogation technique. Like they make sure that there's no table in between them, so that they create intimacy. They make sure that there's nothing, like they make sure the suspect is closer to the door so they don't feel trapped and more willing to talk, stuff like that.
Okay.
It's interesting from that perspective, but also at the same time, they cover the most horrific crimes, and it is like appalling. Like there was a woman who killed an infant because she got mad at it, and they like it took them forever to get her to confess to it, but then when she did, she was like, yeah, I didn't really mean to do it, I guess. Like she's
Bruh.
so cool about it. But here's the thing, these videos range in length. I think the shortest one I've seen was maybe half an hour, but they get up to like 3 hours long.
Oh, I love a good 3-hour video essay.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is. Like, I usually watch them at work, right? Because I'll like, I'm gonna eat lunch real quick, so I want to watch something while I eat. And then it'll be 2.5 hours later, and I'm just...
No, for real, background noise is so important to me. I need things in my ear, things to watch.
But it's not even background noise. Like, I am doing nothing but staring.
That's
like,
that's insane, actually.
Yeah, I cannot look away, and people keep popping in my office, and I pause it real quick. I'm like, I wasn't listening to someone confess to murder.
Nothing.
But they have like 5 or 6 million followers on there.
Wow.
And it's substantial, but it's fascinating, and I can't stop. Like as soon as one ends, I'm like, okay, what's the? Because they have the
Oh yeah,
suggested
like the
one,
playlists.
and they'll just sound absolutely ridiculous.
Oh,
Like,
I'm sure.
yeah, the one I just watched yesterday was about you remember when those two like 12-year-old girls stabbed their friend because of Slender Man?
Yes, that has been brought
It
up
was
on last podcast multiple times.
Yeah, it was their interrogations.
That's wild.
Actually watching these 12-year-old girls talk about stabbing their friend. And
Writing that down because I am very
they
morbidly curious now.
yeah, it's wild because the one of them like they finally realized she had like early signs of schizophrenia,
Mm-hmm.
but the other one just seems to have been a sociopath who manipulated the schizophrenic friend into doing it.
Jesus.
It's yeah. So this I just can't stop. Like it is a compulsion. But it's yeah. I don't know why.
Yeah,
But
I'm
it's
gonna
making
say
me so much
that's.
good.
I'm gonna say that's definitely worse.
Yeah, and so many of the things that I've seen on it, they just like haunt me. But it's so fascinating. Like the things that people do.
Yeah.
I did watch one yesterday. It was only half an hour where a guy killed a woman and ate part of her.
Oh, ew.
Like it was his actual like confession. Like in the interrogation room where he's talking about he tried to pretend he did it he killed her accidentally. But then he didn't know why. He just felt like he immediately had to start cutting her up and cutting pieces off of her to cook. It's like why? Yeah, it's real weird to
Yeah, it
actually
sounds
see
like
these
it.
people talking about what they did firsthand.
But again, yeah, I am very morbidly curious. I will be giving that a Google.
Yeah.
Um, would you say that's mainly how you're worse this week?
That and I can't quit playing Here's the Kingdom.
I know every time I hop onto Animal Crossing, which is yet another facet of my worsening, I see the little
Yeah.
you have one friend online thing, and every time I check it, I'm like, I bet I know who that is, and I bet I know what she's doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're the
And
only
I'm
person I'm friends with
usually
on there.
right.
You're the only person I'm friends with on there, so I always know it's you.
Oh, I have a couple friends on my Switch, not
Yeah.
many, but I'm always like, I bet I know who that is, and yeah,
Yeah.
I am
Really known for
99% of the time I am correct.
Yep. I don't know why I go through, my little phases. I'll play it for a while and then I just hit a phase where I can't stop and I'm in one of those. So my life is just watching like killer confessions and
I love it. Yeah, the Animal Crossing brain rot continues. I am tearing through the Ancient Magus Bride. Help.
mm-hmm.
um, I mean, I already said this at the beginning of the episode, but I continue to attend or make plans to attend concerts.
I did get my ticket to see Los Campesinos
Hell
and
yes.
a VIP ticket for Mother Mother.
As you should. You deserve it.
Yeah. And they're like 2 weeks apart. So I'm going to be going to Toronto 2 weeks apart.
Whatever.
It's a bit of a drive. It's fine.
This country's too damn big.
It's a different country.
I know, but like the fact that like this country is as big as it is,
Yeah.
and then we're next to another country that's giant. If we were a bunch of small countries, then the tours would probably come to all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was the closest either of them was going to be.
Yeah.
That's Toronto. 2.5 hour drive. And I told my mom that I was going to 2 concerts in Toronto this summer. And she was like, "Oh, who's going with you?" I'm like, "Well, nobody, because I don't really, know anybody who's into Los Campesinos. And the only person I know who likes Mother Mother can't go." And she was like, "You're going to a foreign country by yourself?" Like, Mom, it's Canada.
It's okay.
Just the way she said it, a foreign country.
Oh my god. That's such a mom thing. That's such a mom thing.
It's like, and I've been there by myself before for multiple days.
Yeah, like why is it suddenly like
Stay.
okay.
staying in the middle of downtown Toronto. Like, yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
a little bit funny. But it's like, yeah, no, it's I live closer to Toronto than I do to like New York City or,
No, Frank, I gotta say, it pisses me off how often bands will come to the US and do like an East Coast tour, and the only place they stop in New York is New York City. Like, do you know how far it is from like all the way out in Western New York to New York City, or all the way out in like Northern New York to New York City?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
give me a chance.
Yeah, like people don't seem to understand. It's like, no, it's like in the corner of the state. It's like way down there.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm like, oh yeah, I live in New York, they're like, oh, you close to New York City? I'm like, not even remotely.
Nope,
It,
not even a little bit.
I could, if I went in the opposite direction, I could go through several states and through Canada before, and the time it would take me to get to New York. No,
Mm-hmm.
it's like 6 hours from there.
Yeah, no, ridiculous. Like,
Versus Toronto being 2.5.
yeah, and even Ghost, like, shout out to them for doing Syracuse and like Madison Square Garden, but even then,
Yeah.
that was like, it was either 3 hours from me or 2.5 hours from me.
Yeah. And they should do Buffalo more. Like,
Right?
spread it out.
Like, the
I mean,
Rolling
that's all I know.
Stones have played in Buffalo.
Yeah. There don't seem to be a lot of Buffalo shows. Don't know why.
Well, that's another thing. There's a freaking arena right where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, and I mean, I know that Ghost was doing like amphitheaters because it was summer specifically, so like, okay, fair enough, but like,
Mhm.
there's an arena right where I live. Greta Van Fleet played there. The Rolling Stones have played there. Like, Elton John played there.
Yeah.
More people come to Albany. I know it sucks. I live here. Please help me make it suck less.
As long as I don't have to drive more than like 3 hours, I'm happy.
I mean, that's the thing. I will drive more than 3 hours because, like, I want to. Where, like, I want to see the thing more than I'm annoyed that the thing is far away. But
Yeah.
man, it would be nice if that wasn't the case.
But I mean, yeah, I'm just not going to complain if I have to drive, like a couple of hours, because it could be worse, essentially.
It always could be worse, and that's another thing that like makes me so jealous, like that like a tiny place comparatively to the United States and even to like some state, like just states here, not even the country as a whole, that like a small place like the United Kingdom, for example, gets whole tours.
Yeah.
And it's like there are places here where like it's a state that's bigger than that. They get one stop.
Yeah.
Frankly, I also have opinions, TM. I think that the way concerts and tours specifically are set up really needs to change. I think they need to start doing like 2 to 3 nights at every location. Because just
Depends on the band.
it depends on the band, but like, I mean, the Sleep Token fiasco, like, tons and tons of people want to see them. They recently blew up in popularity, so like, and like, they're not playing a shit ton of dates, so like, 2 3 nights here, 2 3 nights here, like, give people a chance.
Maybe they're tired.
Then this is a bad career choice.
Well, no, because they're still making enough money. It's not a bad career choice for them.
Or, I mean, if you don't want to be tired, I'm gonna suggest maybe don't play metal music.
Yeah, but I mean, like, everybody has things they like to do, but they need rest.
Yeah, I mean, I do get that, but I think it would be. And I mean, again, like, change it up so it's not. Like, there's so many bands where it's like, we're in Connecticut, and then we're in Pennsylvania, then we're in New York, then we're in Boston, and, like, all in the span of, like, 5 or 6 days. What if it was, like, 3 nights in New York, and then a couple extra days, and then 3 nights in this other place? I think there's a better way to do this.
Yeah, I mean, it also just depends on the venues and things like that, because they have to negotiate with every venue. And
Yeah, and that too. So, like,
Yeah.
would it be easy? No. Do I think there's there's a better way to structure the notion of like the tour that is one fairer to everybody who might be trying to see some huge artist, and also like gives them a little more time to get where they're going.
Let's assume there's just a lot going on behind the scenes that we're unaware of.
And there probably is, but on the other hand, I feel like it might be possible. I don't know.
Like maybe they want to create demand. Because if everybody
There's enough
always...
already.
Yeah, but it could always be more.
Okay, capitalist, Jesus.
And I'm just saying, and like, and they can charge even more for tickets when there's that much demand.
Yeah, but that like makes me want to like set things on fire.
Sure, but they're still making plenty of money and not exhausting themselves by playing multiple shows. Like, plus, even though it is hard sometimes to compete for tickets to something, there might not be enough to actually fill the place more than one day.
Possible.
Yeah. So there's probably just factors that we're unaware of. That's the way I think about it. As somebody who has to go through a lot of bureaucracy.
Yeah, fair.
I'm dealing with majorly right now.
Oh no. You hate to see it. But I think that is going to bring us to an end for tonight, unless we feel like we've forgotten anything.
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, nothing really comes to mind. I mean, like, I'm broke. That's how I'm worse, but is that really a surprise? No, not at all.
No, same. I need to be more responsible.
Yes, but reality really sucks.
Yep.
And that makes it hard.
So true. It's like, should I have bought that VIP mother ticket? Probably not, but we didn't get to see them when we wanted to see them before, and they're back.
Yeah.
So
the struggle is so very real. All right. As always, thank you for fighting with us, friends. We appreciate each and every single one of you, and we will be back next week for more chaos. We will see you then. Adios.
This week's episode of the Fighting with Friends podcast was hosted by Bridget Kelly and Dr. Sarah Brooks. You can find other episodes of the podcast on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, or your other favorite listening platform. Follow us on Twitter at brkelly98 and at nsarahsaid. Rate and review us on your podcatcher of choice, like, comment, and subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitch and Facebook, and join our Discord community using the links in the description. You can also help support us via the Acast supporter feature, or consider subscribing to our Patreon for early access to episodes and fun bonus content. Thanks for listening!